Great day to be a University of Arizona Wildcat fan, but today especially it is a good day. We are going to explain why here. Let's get started here on Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, let's get started here. Big news, as we all know. Huge news. Carter Bryant is a Arizona Wildcat. All right, now, what does this mean? First, we're going to talk about the bad news because the bad news gets overwhelmed by the good news right here. First and foremost, you've got, obviously, Ryan Nembhard was a big loss for Arizona, and there's no really other way around it. Tommy Lloyd, had put a lot of eggs in the Ryan Nembhard basket, and those eggs didn't come to fruition. And again, that's that's something that needs to be addressed in the transfer portal, and I think it will be addressed in the transfer portal. Again, don't think I'm really breaking any news right there, but we are going to talk about high school recruiting, and it is a big deal that Arizona was able to get Carter Bryant here because first and foremost, Carter Bryant is very good. This is the priority recruit for the Tommy Lloyd era, and not only is he the priority recruit for the Tommy Lloyd era, he is the highest rated guy to sign with Arizona in quite a while. He is a top 5 player in his class, projects as a one and done, probably, maybe a 2 and done. I don't know, but either way, he is a very good player. And he is the kind of guy that you win a lot of games with. And he fits in perfectly. Let's talk about that first. Tommy Lloyd is obviously a big fan of fits. He has always been that. He's always been that dude who is, he wants guys that fit into what he wants to do. And I think that means from a culture perspective, from a fit perspective, you watch Gonzaga, you watch Arizona, and you know what there's not a lot of? There's not a lot of just holding the ball, standing around, waiting for somebody to make a play off the bounce. It's constant movement. As our good buddy John Schuster says, it's utilization of the entire court. And that's where I think that Arizona is that's where I think that Carter Bryant is a very good fit for the University of Arizona. And honestly, that's what makes sense here. So if, again, you look at the kids that have committed domestically, and a lot of them are guys that fit right into where, fit into that. You don't need a ton of people to have the ball. And not only do you not need it, you're skilled enough to be able to make plays running around right there. So a lot of that just kind of goes into the template of what Tommy Lloyd is looking for in a player right there. Now, let's talk a little bit though about where Arizona is, what they're getting in this player. Now, I've been saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. He reminds me a lot of Jason Tatum. I think he's about 6'8", 200 pounds. He's built much the same way that Jason Tatum is. And not only is he built much the same way that Jason Tatum is, he is built in a manner in which you can continue to put on some good muscle. Again, he's never going to be an all-time type athlete. That's just not how he's really built. But what he is going to be able to do, though, is get anywhere he wants. wants on the court. And I always say about this, you got functional athleticism in that wherever he needs to get on the court, he's going to be able to get on the court. And that is an underrated quality for a basketball player, being able to get where they need to on the court. And the reason he's also able to get where he needs to on the court is because he's a really, really good shooter. He is the kind of guy who not only is he a good shooter, but he can basically get to the point where Arizona is on the wing. You're at 6'8", you're at 6'5", you're at 6'4" with those guys, with Jamari Phillips, with KJ Lewis, with Carter Bryant. And he can be that lead dog right there. And not only can he be that lead dog, he can be that lead dog where you can kind of get him the ball. And again, I realize that I'm speaking I realize that he's speaking out of his out of both sides of my mouth to a certain extent. But that's what you need, though. And I think that Tommy Lloyd was right to zero in on him from the very beginning, and that's obviously what he did. Now, Tommy Lloyd had to hit here. We got to be honest. If Tommy Lloyd didn't hit here, this was going to be a problem because, again, you're starting to finish second for a lot of recruits right here. And not only are you starting to finish second to a lot of recruits, people start wondering what exactly is the strategy here, because you continuously are missing out on these guys. Now, Tommy Lloyd could sit here and say, listen, I have been able to get the players that I need domestically, and I've still got the guys overseas as well, the Henry Vasars of the world, who I can develop. So again, this is a very, very good day for Arizona basketball. And also, I mean, this is a fan base. Let's be honest here. This is a fan base that is this is a fan base here that I don't want to say has been beaten down, because again, we're 61-11 in 2 years under Tommy Lloyd. That speaks for itself. But, I mean, I think it's also fair to say at the same time that Arizona fans are not used to coming in second for so many different players right there. And I think that's where with Cat fans, you're like, okay, what is going on right here? Bryant reestablishes that. And when Bryant talked about the recruiting process, when he talked about the recruiting structure of what intrigued him about the University of Arizona, it made total sense. And not only did it make total sense, and again, there's a lot to like, and that's where I think I've been a little bit confused by Tommy Lloyd, to be honest with you, because there is a lot to like about where where Arizona is right now, and where Tommy Lloyd is bringing this stat, or where Tommy Lloyd's bringing it, because again, I've been a little surprised as to why he's had such a difficult time recruiting, because he's got a pretty cool thing to sell. He plays a fun style of basketball that we've all seen. And not only does he play a fun style of basketball, he plays a style that, a kid would want to play for, I would think. It's not the controlling, domineering, hey, run the ball to half court and then stare at me for 5 seconds. It's get up and down, do what you do. I'm going to allow you to express yourself as an athlete. And that's kind of where we're at. So again, it makes a lot of sense to me that Tommy Lloyd would recruit or would be able to get good players like this. And I'm hoping that this continues to be a little bit of a snowball effect where more guys hop in there. We're going to talk about the potential for that snowball effect here in a little bit. So we will get to that for sure. Now, when it comes to Carter Bryant, though, and what you could possibly be looking for in the 24-25 class, or, on that Carter Bryant starting. You don't bring in top 5 players not to start them, especially with the way that Arizona has been recruiting a little bit of late. Tommy Lloyd comes in, and he is going to, I believe that he's going to need to be able to recruit at a level where he's going to need to be able to recruit at a level that doesn't necessarily need to be Sean Miller, where it's top 5, top 10, but he's got to be able to recruit at a level where it's, top 15 and watch me develop these guys. That's what we're expecting out of Tommy Lloyd. And you know what? He's good enough. We should expect that out of Tommy Lloyd. So there's that. I do watch Lloyd, and I think to myself that, maybe he needs a little bit more of an edge. I don't know exactly, but let's see what Carter Bryant does. Now, let's talk about the snowball effect here, because good players like playing with good players. They like the publicity that comes with it. We're in a different age right now, obviously, where we're in a different age right now, and let's be honest here. I think that this is basically a spot in life where kids like to, be saddled up with other really good kids. You look at what the Miami Heat did, what LeBron started there, playing with all your buddies. It's a different era. Not saying it's good, not saying it's bad, but it's just different. When you get a top 5 player with that kind of gravitas coming in here, like you do in Carter Bryant, that is something that is really, really good here. Now, you pair him with a Jamari Phillips, a player who I think is pretty underrated, to be honest with you. And not only do I think that he's pretty underrated, I think that he's a player that I think he should be a top 5 player in his class. I mean, I think he's that good. I'm a top 5 player. I think he should be a 5-star kid. I think he should be a top 25 type player. And I believe that he is that type of guy. And so you got both those guys. Now, what happens there? Because they're both Southern Cal kids. They're both Southern California kids. They're both going to be playing together. They both got the Tommy Lloyd thing going for them as well. So maybe they start working the angles a little bit. Maybe it starts to look a little bit cooler. And we'll talk about that here. But one thing that is cool is FanDuel. All right. FanDuel Sportsbook, FanDuel.com/LockedOnCollege. Check it out. Again, if you could bet on recruiting, which I'm not sure you can, but if you could bet on recruiting, this is the place that you would be able to bet on recruiting, because you would be able to bet anywhere, because FanDuel.com/LockedOnCollege is where it's at, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't think that I'm really breaking any news right here, but it's good stuff. And again, there's nothing better than betting on a game with a little bit change in the equation right there. All right. So again, check it out. FanDuel.com/LockedOnCollege. All kinds of good stuff. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We will be right back with you. And we're going to talk about what possibly the snowball effect would be. All right. Thanks for keeping it locked on, Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right. Now, we are going to talk about what this snowball effect could be, because there's other really good players in this class that Arizona is recruiting. You look at a Didon Thomas, a 6-foot, 5'11" point guard out of Las Vegas. I think he's going to be ultimately difficult to land if you know, as the kids would say. But I do believe that Arizona has a chance with him. He's been on campus. I think you're trying to get him back on again. But as we've talked about, he's a legacy guy. His pops played at UNLV, all-time assist leader. Those are generally difficult guys to get. But who knows? Maybe Arizona is able to get him. Maybe he looks at it and is like, oh, all right, interesting. You got some pretty talented guys right there. Maybe, just saying. Now, other guys then that you could possibly foresee coming to the U of A. How about obviously you've already got a Carter, or you've already got those guys in the fix. Azum Diallo, 5-star point guard out of Gonzaga. We've talked about this from day one, or Gonzaga from Washington. We've talked about this from day one. I believe that Zoom is the best point guard in his class. And not only do I believe that he's the best point guard in his class, he's the kind of guy that it just feels like Kentucky generally ends up getting. And not only does Kentucky generally end up getting, that they're able to get in the last second, and I kind of feel that'll be the same case here with Zoom. But Arizona's been recruiting Zoom for quite a while right now, so hopefully it does work out there. That would be nice because, again, he is really, really good. He would be another guy. He is a lock, McDonald's All-American, a top 5-star recruit. Now, it gets a little bit interesting, though, because if you wanted to play at Gonzaga, you already got Ryan Nembhard in there. Maybe it's bittersweet coming back there on the Zags, getting Ryan Nembhard. Arizona gets Zoom Diallo. Who knows? Just saying, that would be kind of interesting. That would be kind of funny. That would make me laugh a little bit. And that's what this is all about right here, let's be honest. But Diallo, though, on a serious note, another guy that, Arizona's recruiting. They're in his top schools. It'd be very nice to see Arizona be able to land him. We'll obviously keep you up to date on where Arizona stands with that recruitment. Okay, now, a couple other things here. Built Bar. Now, you look at the biggest, strongest players across college basketball. Heck, across the athletic spectrum. And what do they have in common? They are probably consuming Built Bar. And not only are they probably consuming Built Bar, there's a reason. Because it tastes good. People like stuff that tastes good. I'm not breaking any news here. And again, when you're leaving the gym, the last thing you want is to say, all right, man, I just got done, working my butt off right here. And here's what I got to do now. I've got to go eat something that I don't like. I got to go eat something that doesn't taste good. Nobody likes that nobody likes that feeling. That's why Built Bar stepped in here and said, we are going to make things taste better for the common folk out there. And not only are we going to make things taste better for the common folk right there, we're going to make it so that, not only does it taste better, you're kind of at the spot right now where, yes, it tastes better. And the other thing about it too, besides it tasting better, is you look forward to it at the end of the day. Check it out. You can get them at all your local GNCs. Let's take a quick break. Thanks for keeping it locked on, Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right. Now, what does this mean now with Carter Bryant in the fold? Great stuff. First of all, you're getting a top 5 player in the class and a guy that you can build around, and that gives Arizona a little bit of a cool factor to it. Not that it needed a cool factor, but you get Bryant, and that certainly helps. Then, not only do you get Carter Bryant, people start to alleviate a little bit of the concern about Tommy Lloyd and the recruiting. Can Tommy Lloyd recruit? Can he not recruit? What's going on here? All of that starts to go away. And honestly, that is a good thing that starts to go away. So again, we'll keep you up to date on all of that. I'm going to be up at the EYBL this weekend here up in Phoenix, checking out all the best players there. See, Arizona doesn't offer a ton of kids, but they still have to offer a few kids to be able to fill out a roster. So that's where we're at that point. Okay, now, but that's where we're at. Carter Bryant, great news. Congratulations. I think he made a good decision here. And I think bigger picture, you're hoping that this makes things a little bit easier for Tommy Lloyd, that this makes things a little bit easier for him just in the recruiting circle, because, again, there's no reason that Arizona should be struggling getting recruits. That's where we're kind of at. And, again, Lloyd has obviously shown that he is an awesome coach right here. So, again, that's where we're at. All right. Going to sign off right here. We'll be back with you. As you know, even though Arizona basketball is off, it takes no days off around here because Arizona basketball is the entity of all entities right here. So, all right, you guys have a great rest of your Thursday. As always, really appreciate you. Keep it locked on Wildcats, back the A, and we will be back with you. Have a great rest of your day.